the Bible. There's been so many different translated versions of the Bible. So when somebody comes to you and say the Bible, where do we start?
The earliest recorded sacred writings. When one comes to a riverbank, you don't look at the riverbank from starting at that point. We want to find out where is the origin of this river. And only then can you understand the flow of the river. We have to go back to where are the first holy works written at? Where did the world get these concepts from? Let's go back to what is known as Per-em-Haru. Per-em-Haru means coming forth by day and by night. This goes back over 10,000 years ago, coming down through the dynastic period known as the Pyramid Text, the Coffin Text, right there in the land of Kemet, right there in the northeastern corner of Africa. There you can see, carved in the 5th dynastic period, during this time our ancestors carved in the Medu Neter, carved in stone their spiritual ascension of the holy writings. Later on, you have the Pentateuch. That is known as the first 5 books of Moses, written around 700 years BC. That was copied from the early Africans' writings of coming forth by day, by night, or Per-em-Haru. Then you come down to the Septuagint version of the Bible, written around 250 BC. That's the Greek version of the Bible. This is Europe's first Bible. Where was it written at? Europe's first Bible was written right in Africa, right in the land of Kemet called Egypt today. The Ptolemies. The Ptolemies are a group of soldiers of Alexander the Barbarian, not the Great, the Barbarian. After his death, the Ptolemies took over at this time. And the Ptolemies commissioned the African Hebrews at that time in Kemet to write for them their Bible, known as the Greek version of the Bible, known as the Septuagint version of the Bible. Where did they get their writings from? They copied from the early pyramid text that I talked about earlier. This is how they got the reference to the Bible. Then you have other various Bibles, like the Babylonian Talmud, one of the most racist versions of the Bible. The Babylonian Talmud Bible was derived, some of its writings was derived from the Conference of Jamnia in 90 AD, where they literally made up the Ham story. This is allegorical mythology written by white racist theologians, and we believe this to be an actual story. This is an allegorical racist myth of the whole Noah story and the curse story for the taking of the African Canaanites' land. But you come all the way down to the John Wycliffe version of the Bible, the Latin Vulgate version of the Bible. That was Rome's version of the Bible. Then you come down into what is known as the King James version of the Bible, written in 1611 AD. The King James, who rebelled against the Pope of Rome, and King James said, I'm the king of this day, we'll write our own Bible. And the Pope was against James because of his own promiscuous behavior. He also suffered from phagocytis. It's a very serious disease. It's still going on today. And then he decided to get Sir Francis Bacon, Henry Saville to write the Bibles for them. Now, it says on the first page of the King James Version of the Bible that the book was diligently compared and revised. Diligently compared to what? To what I have just given you, the chronology going all the way back to African people who wrote Per-em-Haru. That's why I said somebody knows something about us that they don't want us to know about ourselves. Even if we come down to the New American version of the Bible. In fact, England and America almost went to war because America wrote its version of the Bible. And England wanted their Bible to be the last Bible to be written. But again, America, acting on the same basis that England acted on, said, we're the king of this day. We'll write our own Bible. So in the early 1900s, around 1901, this is when we get the New American version of the Bible. Now, although you still have the King James version of the Bible still around, but in another 100 years from now, maybe even less than that, that book will slowly go out of circulation. Our great-grandmothers had the Greek version of the Bible, and it slowly went out of circulation. Now, the New American Bible will come into circulation. That's why I say the older the books, the more truth you have in it. That means the King James Bible will have more truth in it than the New American Bible. What's the difference in this truth? In the King James Version of the Bible, it speaks of in Revelation, speaking of Yeshua, called Jesus today, that my hair is like lamb's wool and feet like brass as it put in an oven. Is that right? That's right. Clearly giving an identification that he is a black man. But when it gets down to the New American Version of the Bible, that identification clearly shows that he's a black man, but through white supremacy and the racism in America and the white cemetery schools or seminary schools, now we see that he is now become a great light. They have removed that. That is removed. He's a great light now. No longer is he coming with hair like lamb's wool and feet like brass is put in the oven. He is